Okay, so I'm Andrew from the Gaming Gaiden Podcast, and this is extra content for our channel outside of the podcast. As far as Killer Instinct is concerned, this year we're getting Mortal Kombat, we're getting Street Fighter, we're getting Tekken 8, we're getting a lot of fighting games, but we're not getting Killer Instinct. And there was that one that came out in 2013, and I think it was kind of mostly lukewarm, and I wanted to talk about why that one might have not hit as well as they did, and what they could do to fix things going forward. Okay, so I'm a huge Killer Instinct fan. I have been my whole life. I played it in the arcade in the 90s. I had it on Super Nintendo. I had the Killer Cuts soundtrack. I think it's the best video game pack-in of all time. I love the music. I love the Killer Cuts songs. It's 90s dance music, and I fucking love it. I think it's great. I listen to it once a month or so. I even interviewed the guy that owned the software, etc., when I was a kid in the 90s for my podcast, and he said that Killer Instinct was the biggest selling game while he was boss at that software, etc. What was the most popular Super Nintendo game at the time, do you remember?
Oh, by far, it's Killer Instinct.
So it was huge in my area, and that was in Montgomery, Alabama in the 90s, mid-90s. So anyway, where I think the 2013 one went wrong was mainly for me the combo system. I love the original combo system. Like in the first one, I thought that was great, but for some reason in this one, you just didn't feel the impact of any of the hits, I felt like. And it had some kind of combination with the modern controls or something. I know that they're trying to modernize fighting games a lot. You see that in Street Fighter 6's, modern controls now. It seems to be a big point with bringing on new people, I guess. But for me, there was something in how they did it with the 2013 Killer Instinct that it just felt like you press like two buttons and then they do like 50 hits. It just didn't feel right, and the impact of those hits, I just didn't feel it like I should. I did feel like the game was, like the graphics were good. You brought over the soundtrack, which is really key. I love that. I just thought like, yeah, the combos just weren't great. The way the combos felt weren't great. So that's one thing. The other thing was, I know this is weird, but I feel like there's something to that all black background. And during like the Supreme Victory and everything like that, like I feel like that added a kind of really cool dark ambience to it, to Killer Instinct. And I know you wanted to like probably spruce it up or whatever. The developers wanted to spruce it up for the new one. But that plain black background really did it for me as a kid, and I really think that would be good just to have that again, just like a plain black or mostly black background for the character selection and for Supreme Victory screens and things like that. And getting back to the music, you have to follow the music for the next one. Street Fighter's got a hip-hop thing now with Street Fighter 6. Mortal Kombat's always had the Mortal Kombat song. They did have one trailer that had a hip-hop song in it, but they probably won't do what you can do, which is that kind of techno, metal, industrial soundtrack. And that techno part can connect to the storyline that you have, the Ultra Tech or whatever, all of that stuff. Like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and Tekken and all them, like they're not quite as like techno industrial as you are. So that's something like you could use that music as a jumping off point more with your story and make it more sci-fi, make it more cyberpunk. I think that there's something there, bringing a cyberpunk aesthetic more into Killer Instinct. Just make the combos feel like something, they just didn't feel like anything. Like Killer Instinct, more than the other fighting games, more than any of the other ones really. Like Killer Instinct's known for the combos, and with the announcer.
Your opponent
Really got to get the combos right. And I know it's a Mortal Kombat clone, and that's what it's always been. It's always been the best Mortal Kombat clone. It's been the best one. My name is Andrew. This has been extra content for the Gaming Gaiden Podcast. Gaming Gaiden Podcast is about Japanese to English translation usually, but we wanted to branch out and do other content like this. If you want to see more content like this, let me know. And especially let me know if you're into Primal Rage.